There's so much talk about Apple versus FBI right now. The FBI getting a federal order to get Apple to help them decrypt the phone belonging to one of the San Bernardino terrorists. It's a little complicated in terms of what must be done. We want to talk a little about the legal question. So joining us right now is attorney Sara Azari. Good to see you again. Sara, good morning.
Good morning.
So the judge, a federal judge, not at a high level, a magistrate,
right,
says to Apple, you have to do this. Does Apple have to do it?
No, and in fact, Apple has a strong fight. They are filing a brief, and it's going to go to the Ninth Circuit Court. And luckily for Apple and for all of us whose lives are on these phones, the Ninth Circuit is very liberal. And so it remains to be seen what's going to happen at that level. But I can see this case going all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States. This is an outrageous issue. This is like, you know, essentially the FBI telling Apple, here, wear our raid jacket, break down the door, go in and help us do our search.
There's nothing simple about this.
No.
But also, this program doesn't even exist.
Right.
They're asking Apple for something that they don't even have yet.
Exactly. And in the past, Apple has complied.
Let me be the devil's advocate here, since you have a firm, passionate position on this. So let me play devil's advocate with you. If the security of our country's at risk, let's put it up on a higher level. I've said this before. We think somebody's going to bomb the Capitol. And we think this phone has the information.
What do you do?
What position do you take?
Okay, but the issue is much larger than that. The FBI is saying, here's a very narrow request. It's limited to Farouk's phone.
And specifically
this
now,
iPhone 5, just this phone. By the way, this phone is his work phone. He destroyed the personal phone, where I would assume most of that information.
So it's a county phone. Why can't the county can say go ahead?
I honestly,
they can't get in.
They can't get in. They don't have the password.
I'm just shocked that the FBI doesn't have the manpower and the ability to do this on their own.
Right.
Am I the only person surprised by this?
Well, they're going to have to go from 000 to 0000 to 9999, right, to try to find the right password.
And
after 10 failed attempts, it just wipes out all the information.
From my point of view, that's on the FBI, not Apple.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And you know, the problem is, Maria, at what point do we draw the line? Where do we say, so what do we do with a fraudster, a bank robber, you know, a child molester? You know, each time the FBI is going to be able to come back.
Case.
Yeah, there's a precedent. And now the FBI is going to keep coming back and saying, pretty please, can you break this into this iPhone 6?
Let me go back to my case. I'm giving you an extreme example of an issue of security. Somebody may blow up the Capitol. What position would you take?
Okay. Merely accusing somebody of thinking that they're going to do that, that's your privacy is still far more.
Let me get you to the real world here for a moment.
But the FBI can do whatever they want.
We're pretty sure that somebody may blow up the Capitol for the sake of this conversation. There's a record. All indications say this may happen. The answer's in the phone. We go to you. You are now the head of the Justice Department.
The answer might be in the phone.
Yeah.
And my position
might be in the phone.
Might be in the phone.
We might have the information.
Right.
Yes.
And in this case, they have the metadata, that data that comes from the cellular carrier that shows who called who, what time, how long the calls lasted, the text messages, etc. So really, do they really need? No. This is about opening the door to the government having unfettered access to private information. And you know, we should not be able to have to choose technology versus our civil liberties.
Another fundamental issue of how much the government can intervene into a business.
Correct.
There's that too.
Correct. And Apple's saying this is our brand is the uber secure phones that we make. Right. And by the way, they're not going to just stop at Apple. Next time they're going to go to Samsung and they're going to say, well, Apple did it. Can you do it?
The door,
it's the back to the world. Yes.
Here's my question: how often is this an issue, and how many criminal cases are phones locked? Do you know how often does this come up?
It comes up almost all the time. They take the phone because they believe the phone has evidence and they can't get into the phone. And that's the issue I have, is that you open the door and say this.
So what do they do in that case?
Well, they can't get in the phone.
And that's it. They
And
just
that's
leave it alone.
Now, sometimes, depending on the circumstances, you might cooperate and give them the passcode if you're sure that there's nothing incriminating in that phone. And maybe you need something out of that phone that might help your client. And, then you cooperate. But often, tough luck. You can't get in the phone. You can't get to what you think might be there.
All of these other times, they've basically said, all right, we couldn't get into the phone. We can't get into the phone. That's it.
Exactly.
In this case, they're trying to push it further.
And you know what? And it's because this case was an act of terrorism on U.S. soil. It is very sensational. They have the court of public opinion on their side, whereas normally we don't trust the FBI. We don't trust the FBI's intentions.
Don't forget the level of being able to encrypt increased 2 years ago.
Right.
I mean, before that they could get in.
Right.
Now it's different. So this
you mean the iPhone iOS 8 that they created? Yeah, even they can't get it.
Yes.
See, and that's
Exactly.
what I think needs to go back to the fact that we cannot break the code, and the fact that the FBI is unable to, on their own, do this is the bigger issue.
I know we're out of
for
time.
me.
I want to go back to this. I want to ask you this again. I know I'm beating a live horse.
Are you still on the blowing up the
Yeah.
Capitol?
Yes, exactly.
'Cause that's preventing a
Because the
future-
extreme examples set the table for what everything else is.
Sure.
Say it's just before 9/11, and there's a phone, and you think something is up like this. In the name of some kind of grand sense of privacy.
You would ask Apple to make an exception? Is that what you're...
Do you
What
risk
would you
getting
do?
people
You
killed?
if you
Risk reward
if you
here.
have some apps, I would say it has to be some certainty, not just some mere
70%
suspicion.
certainty.
Okay, then maybe you can get a court order that allows, that phone to be. But this is not that kind of case. The guy destroyed his phone before he killed himself. His wife's phone was destroyed before
Right.
they.
And they have the county phone.
And they have a county phone. Like, is he that dumb to have communicated with terrorists on a work phone?
So we wrap this up by saying Sara Azari disagrees with Bill Gates.
That's
That's
was
the
the
segment.
conclusion.
If I could take on Bill Gates.
Gates is siding with the FBI in this
Yes,
one.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. More shall be revealed because this is really about technology
This is just,
versus civil liberties.
once again the beginning of the beginning of
Right.
the beginning of
Absolutely.
this argument that never ends.
Right.
Thank you, Sara Azari.
See,
you
like
for
we
having
said,
me.
complicated issue.
Very
And at the end of it,
complicated.
remains complicated.
Well, for some people it's not. For some people it's a simple issue. You don't,
The
or
more
you do.
The
Yeah.
more you talk about it, the
Yeah.
more
It's very
complicated it
complex.
becomes.